There's nothing really funny about this particular story, but Joe Biden is about to put crack pipes and syringes into the black community. You heard it right. We're going to talk about this hypocrisy right now and why Reagan had nothing to do with the crack epidemic in the 80s. We'll debunk that as well. We're going to start right now. Hello, my name is Kyle, and in case you don't know, I have about 25 years of Republican conservative political experience. I am a transplant from the dark side of the Democrat Party. Yes, I was one of those, but I came over to the light side, and now I do YouTube videos. I hope you like this channel. This is the Conservative Take. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about what's going on right now with the ex-vice president's administration. He is talking about putting crack pipes and syringes into the black community. And this thing here is totally, utterly, insanely ridiculous, and they're getting away with it. I'm going to give you my take at the end of this, but we're going to go through some of the minutia of this. You know, they at one side say that the Republicans are so evil and that we do all these different things with voter laws and voter ID and crime in terms of the police and how they mismanaged it and go after blacks, like LeBron James says all the time, that cops are hunting black people down in the middle of the street. All these different things, but they totally ignore, first of all, those things are untrue, but number two, they totally ignore what's right in their face, like Biden doing what he does, again, over and over again, being in bed with the Ku Klux Klan, having him as a main mentor. That would be Byrd from West Virginia. Ignore what's going on in the Democrats for decades, and they never ever talk about the war on poverty with LBJ, never talk about redlining with FDR, never talk about Woodrow Wilson bringing back up the Klan, even though a Republican president had suppressed the Klan up to that point, and that was Ulysses S. Grant, and of course, Joe Biden's crime bill, and many, many things that he's done and said. You ain't black. It goes on and on and on. And so right here, I'm going to go over this article right here from Black Enterprise Magazine, no less. It says here, the Biden administration to fund the distribution of crack pipes and syringes to promote racial equity. I don't even know where to begin on this. So are they trying hard not to say that blacks are so depraved that they have to have more drugs to bring equity to the solution? I have no idea where your logic is going here. And interestingly enough, Black Enterprise Magazine is playing this straight. It opens up by saying this: Monday, applications closed for the Biden administration's new $30 million grant program to provide crack pipes and smoking kits to promote racial equity. That's in quotes. That's from the White House. Starting this May, the harm reduction program. I just love how Democrats love to use the verbiage of stuff that is totally not true. Black Lives Matter. Of course, we believe Black Lives Matter, but in truth, it was burn, loot, murder. Let's just call it what it is. Overseen by the Department of Health and Human Services, the grants will be allocated towards smoking kit supplies that will provide pipes for use to smoke crack cocaine and crystal meth and any illicit substance. Any illicit substance. The program helps the kits will reduce the risk of infection when it comes to dealing with drugs and pipes and glass pipes. The kits will reduce the risk of infection when doing drugs with glass pipes. Are you out of your mind? I'm sure nothing can go wrong with this situation. And here you have here a quote here. The grant says the purpose of the program is to support community-based overdose prevention programs, syringe services programs, and other harm reduction services. See, this is the lunacy of the left. They are so depraved in their thinking that they want to say, you know what? It's okay to steal. Up in California, you can steal up to $900+ and be totally fine. They don't understand the human condition that men are sinful. We don't do things the right way because we are depraved by nature. We need a savior, okay? That's what the worldview that this country was founded on, a Judeo-Christian worldview based on the Bible. And we'll be having more videos in the future to talk about that. But for now, we're seeing total lunacy. Marco Rubio says this: Biden is sending free meth and crack pipes to minority communities in the name of racial equity. There's no end in sight for this lunacy. And lastly, Biden talked about being tough on crime. This is Tom Cotton from Arkansas. Said this week the Biden administration announced funds for crack pipe distribution to advance racial equity. You know, and we talk about Hunter Biden. We know about him. And so is he trying to raise our communities like he raised his son? Oh, I take a hard pass on that. So that's the facts there, okay? Now let's get into some of the spin that we're going to hear pretty soon, if not already, about the Reagan administration and about how Reagan somehow brought crack cocaine into the communities, and he used it to do other things. And the fact of the matter is that did not happen. It was debunked by, oh no, not Fox News, but by the Washington Post and the New York Times nonetheless. And we have an article here that we'll go over quickly. But right here, all these links will be in the article. And this, by the way, is from the Washington Examiner. And I would go into a pbs.org article as well. And so let me just give some background here, that this is coming from a book that came out called The White Rage, The Unspoken Truth of Our Racial Divide by Carol Anderson, PhD. And so that's the title of the book. And in the book, she makes this charge. She says, most explosive allegation is that at the time when marijuana use was down and cocaine, heroin, and hallucinogens was declining or leveling off, Reagan's National Security Council and the CIA manufactured and facilitated a drug crisis and were complicit in flooding African-American communities with crack. She says administration shielding of Colombian drug traffickers actively allowed cocaine imports to the United States to skyrocket 50% within 3 years, and soon crack was everywhere, kicking the legs out from under black neighborhoods, she writes. The summary is this, that in 1996, the San Jose Mercury News by Gary Webb charged that the Reagan-era CIA sold crack in inner cities to fund clandestine operations in Central America. The series was roundly debunked by the New York Times and, as it happens, the Washington Post. And Webb himself later admitted that there was no hard evidence for the crimes his articles contained, and later an Inspector General's report also refuted the charges. And so it goes more in here. I can go to more here. You can go into this, the actual sources of this article and everything else. But it talks about the same thing there. That's the summary. So I'll leave this there. You can go search this for yourself. And one thing you need to know about Ronald Reagan is that he had 3 core objectives in his administration. And these core objectives were taught to me by Newt Gingrich in a class that I took way back in the day when I was coming up to be a grassroots leader in the Republican Party and the conservative movement. And he reiterated these 3 things in a speech that he gave at the RNC in August of 2012. It's highlighted right here, and I'm going to read it. He said in this speech, he said, over 3 decades have passed since Ronald Reagan was first elected to the White House, yet the impact of his leadership is still evident today. While in office, President Reagan had 3 major goals: to restore the economy, to revive the American spirit, and to defeat totalitarianism, spreading democracy throughout the world. Now, one thing he didn't mention in the speech that he mentioned in the class is that anything outside of that, Reagan didn't really care about. That's what he wanted to do in his term as president, and he wanted to accomplish that. And in my opinion, and in many others, he succeeded immensely, ending the Cold War, destroying the Soviet Union, bringing prosperity back to this country, and bringing back the spirit of Americanism and loving this country like it hadn't been done in decades, because Jimmy Carter pretty much destroyed the country in many, many ways. They even came up with a misery index to indicate how badly people were feeling, and mainly that was under Jimmy Carter. And so again, Reagan changed that. And the core takeaway to that is that Reagan was pretty much hands off on that, and some criticize him on that, but he was not directly involved in that, as it had been debunked. However, nothing stops the left from pushing forth bad narratives whenever they get the opportunity, and I'm pretty sure you can hear this more and more and more, to take away the eyeballs and the shaking of the head and the what in the world is that for this new policy that Biden's trying to do. $30 million to provide crack pipes to blacks in the inner city from the US White House nonetheless. So here's my conservative take on this. I was born in Washington, D.C. I grew up in Southern Maryland, and I spent a lot of time in Washington, D.C. during the 80s, and I saw firsthand the crack epidemic. I was there firsthand where friends of mine were murdered because of the crime rate that was just insane. I was there with the Marion Barry deal, and at the time, I was a staunch Democrat, and had I heard the president at the time doing something like this, it would have been no way. There's no way in the world I would have supported that. The black community never would have supported this. We knew the situation was desperate, and there's no way in the world we would condone this. So why are people condoning this today? I showed you that article from Black Enterprise. Where is the opinion pieces? Where is the black community coming back and saying this is totally ridiculous? Where have we switched so far from the 80s and 90s to know that crack is whack, to don't do drugs, to now we can give crack pipes to blacks in the inner city? Dave Chappelle made a lot of money on his skits. Chris Rock talked about this. These are some of the most prominent black comedians out there who spoke against this, but yet somehow there's deaf silence on this policy. And so what does that tell you? Does it tell you that the Democrat Party and Joe Biden is for you? What does it tell you? Think about it. And it's really insane that this is even a conversation, and I can't even believe that this is happening in this country. But what say you about this? What do you think about this? I mean, I'm curious to know in the opinions that you guys have. Comment below, have at it, and what's going on, guys? I have no idea. But if you like what we do on this channel, we take pop culture and politics and filter it to you in a conservative manner. Please click on some more videos that we have picked out for you right here.